Okay, we are now recording. So Ellen and I just wanted to say a quick little bit about ourselves and how we met. And originally we were both taking part in a health series with Joe Bailey and Ann Ross. And we both have an interest in how the three principles, or an understanding of the three principles, have affected our health and well-being, yes, but also physical health. I think most people who are involved in the three principles understand how their well-being might be experienced differently, or they might experience more well-being. But for both Ellen and I, we have experienced our physical challenges or ailments in a very different way since coming across the principles. And so at some point during the webinar series with Joe Bailey and Ann Ross, we started conversation with each other, and that has been extremely fruitful, that we both sort of bounce insights off each other. And we've done a few series of webinars ourselves where we've invited other people to join us, and they have certainly benefited and found their own insights into their own health and well-being. Yeah, I think that's as much as I need to say at the moment. Anything you'd like to add, Ellen?
Yeah, it was just clear to me one day to invite Mick to have a conversation based on something that he shared in this group, and our conversation led to, like, we should have kept track, Mick, but it's been you know, dozens and dozens of hours in the last 9 months, I think, 8-9 months. So yeah, and so through that we've been deepening our understanding of the principles individually. We've been facilitating small groups in this understanding. And in fact, one of our group participants, well, before I go to that, you know, and I just want to say, knowing that just having a completely different experience with my physical symptoms is radically freeing for me. And we'll talk more about that. So that's just been so amazing, because at the time I was so wrapped up in my symptoms that, you know, Joe Bailey shared something about a symptom that his wife had. And the next morning I woke up with the same symptom on my body. And I was just like, really, Ellen? Like, come on. And so just explored how that occurs too, how sometimes I'm sitting with someone with symptoms or hearing someone's symptoms, and I have a similar experience in my body too, and how that my relationship with that has changed. But today I wanted to dedicate this webinar today to a client of mine and someone that participated in a group with Mick and I. Her name was Cheryl. And Cheryl passed away about 10 days ago, it feels like now. But last summer in one of our groups, Cheryl, and she was so grateful for her experience with us, and grateful that I was so moved to share her experience. So I do have permission to share her experience. So she was temporarily living in Arizona, and she went back to Massachusetts, where she was from, to sell off as much as her belongings as she could to return to Arizona for some alternative treatment for her stage 4 cancer. And in the small group, she said to Mick and I and the other participants, "This is the busiest and most stressful time in my entire life. And because of my understanding, I'm having fun." Like, I was just so blown away by that. Do you remember that moment, Mick?
I do. And I mean, Cheryl brought so much of her own wisdom to that particular series of webinars, and No, I was really moved that Ellen wanted to dedicate this to her. And yeah, I was very sad to hear that she passed away. But the shift that she had in the last few months of her life was quite dramatic. And you've known her for a long time, Ellen. So, but it
just
seemed,
just a year.
yeah, right. But it seemed like there was a big shift.
Yeah, it was a huge shift. It's funny. And just 10 minutes ago, her best friend from Massachusetts just called me. Like,
right.
And left me a message, yeah. So the other thing that happened is a couple months later, she called me up and she said, Ellen, I just heard from the doctor and I had my test. I had some recent blood work, and the blood work showed that my tumor markers have doubled. They're worse than they've ever been. And she said, I went into shock. Well, of course she went into shock. We would all go into shock. And then she said, Ellen, and then the shock passed. The shock passed and joy was present. I mean, that she could experience joy following the shock of hearing that her cancer was advancing, was like a memory that I will cherish and value and see as a deepening of her own understanding of who she was as Joy. Yeah. So, so I think that's it for right now.
Yeah, and just hearing what's possible in the midst of what we would generally call the most serious time of our life. Was very inspiring. Very inspiring. Yeah. So this webinar came out of Ellen and I discussing what we wanted to do, and we were thinking of some topics. And I quite often have musical thoughts running through my head, and so that was why we introduced this with Tina Turner. That phrase just came to me, and for me at the time, it was I almost felt like it was too big a topic to talk about what's love got to do with pain and illness, but something at the same time resonated very deeply, that the times when I personally have had either the biggest, what I would call healings, or the biggest shift in my experience of a symptom or experience of a physical challenge that's been a problem. The times when I've experienced the biggest shifts have been times when I have touched something that feels way less personal than my everyday thinking, and it feels much more universal. It feels much more it becomes a bit wordless, and I could put the word love onto it, or I do put the word love onto it, but it's the place of knowing that we are made of love, or the place that that there is no difference between the intelligence behind life, the universal energy, the wisdom that we're made of. It all feels like love to me. So love becomes a kind of universal word for that impersonal life force that we're made of. So that's how this came about, and Ellen was very excitedly took it up, while I was kind of suddenly backtracking and thinking, no, this is too big. And so Ellen bravely said, let's go with that. So
that doesn't take much for me. Yeah, I mean, and just since we've been exploring the topic, just since you threw the topic out to me, and it's like when I remember that I am love, when I remember that I'm created from love, when I remember that I'm a creation of love, when I remember that when I'm aligned with the essence of the love that I already am, then I just experience life, including my symptoms, including health, so much differently. And Mick, when you were talking about, the beyond the words, it's like love is the perfect word it's the perfect kind of like touchstone for me. It's the perfect touchstone of form for the formless. Like love, like in one respect, love is just, the word love is the closest form that I can have to the experience. And I want to also say, though, that like for me, I've been very aware that the love that I thought, the personal love that I thought, happened in personal relationships, or love for chocolate ice cream, or love for things, is not the love we're talking about. It's the unconditioned love that's always been there, always will be there. Like it's the constant. It's the constant. So we wanted to just invite you all to just take a moment, and it might have already, there might have even been a shift, and just see like where you came to this time, this session, this hour, this time together, where you came, when you came in, like, were there any symptoms in your body? Was there any tension in your body? Was there any pain? What was your relationship with your own health? Or the health of someone that you're concerned about? And just invite you, just take a moment and just touch in with whatever's there now, or whatever was there when we started, or when you started your day. I guess that's not so long ago for me, but it's longer ago for some of you.
And also, if you have been drawn to come to this webinar, what is it for you that drew you here? What is it for you that attracted you to want to listen to this or be part of this? And if you just turn up, then that's fine too. But if there was something particular, in your own health, and is that present for you when is that present for you now? Or, as Ellen is inviting you to experience what's going on in your body at the moment, is that different again? So just yeah. getting you to experience those different flavors.
Mm-hmm. And rather than, so we just wanted that as like a touchstone, a grounding point, but rather than focus on what was presently your symptoms, like, what do you see? We want to open it up right now. Like, what do you see about what love has to do with pain and illness? Or what would you like to see that seems, muddy to see? And just go ahead, Tanya. Thank you. And if you want to share where you're from, so that we can all know who you are and where you're from.
Hi. Yes. So I'm from Israel. So it's late in the day here. And I've been around the three principles for a number of years, and the understanding enabled me to make many symptoms disappear for me in terms of menopause symptoms and things like that, physical and emotional symptoms. And it all happened quite quickly through one insight, and everything cleared up. And since then, I'm still going through the menopause, and they come back and they go. But what's interesting for me, and what drew me to this webinar, is I see the love that like Mick described, and yet what I find really helpful is to think about love in terms of the way my body acts, always out of love, and seeing it that way. Like it's almost like there's almost less for me to think about, with the understanding that my body always acts out of love. And this sort of resonates with my work with women in menopause, because when women come into menopause, there's this idea of my body's betraying me, my hormones are getting it wrong, something's malfunctioning, and it's built into this general message that lots of women pick up on when they come to midlife. And what I've seen is that it's impossible, really, for my body to betray me. It's impossible for my body to malfunction, and it's impossible for my body not to act from love. So any symptom that I experience is my body sending out love. Either it's getting itself back into balance, or it's communicating a message to me, or it's something that I need to know or the body needs to do, but it's always from love. And so that is, it's such a relief. That's what it appears to me, that it's such a relief. It's something that I can relax into, and I just let my body get on and do what it needs to do.
Mm-hmm. That's beautiful. What I'm hearing inside of me is like what I've known for so long, is that symptoms are like my language is just an expression of love, or a request for love.
Right. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, no, thank you, Tanya. No, that was just, I mean, for me, it's because the body is made of the life force. When I talk about the life force, it has to be the same thing that's creating the body, and it has to be the same thing that's communicating through the body. So I am totally, I love the way you put it, because I can see it very impersonally, but it's through the body that it becomes personal, and the body embodies it, for want of a better word. And also I like the way it's very easy, or I have found it very easy to feel that something needs fixing. And my personal mind, especially in the early days of my diagnosis and so on, it's like, what can I do to fix this, rather than, oh, this is a display of love from my body to help me discover something. So I just think that the way you put it was very, it points to that shift in focus, or the shift away from I'm in charge to this is something that's happening for the benefit of everyone, or can be.
Who else? Questions or something fresh that's showing up? Or an experience that you've had where love was, you saw that love was there, or a struggle that you have that, like, really? Do you guys really believe what you're saying? Like, we're open to it all. Go ahead, Francis. Nice to see you again.
Okay, thank you. As someone who's in the same position as Shirley has been, the same diagnosis, it's funny, when I got that diagnosis, I didn't, this is a year ago, I had this strange, very free sense. I had, you know that song, Free Falling?
Mm-hmm.
That just kept going through my head. It's like, you know, and so for the past year, that particular diagnosis hasn't been overwhelming, but what has been overwhelming is previous treatment, which has left this debilitating effect on my feet, which I'm, you know, I hate going into the story, but sometimes I think you have to go into the story. You know, I haven't driven for a year and a half because my feet are numb and painful. So walking is difficult. So, and this is 24/7. So even as I sit here, I'm aware of this numbness and discomfort, and you know, and I struggle to find the love that you're talking about in that. Having said that, I'm so drawn to the more and more to the deeper understanding of the principles and the whole non-dual aspect of it, and the personal, you know, and but I just feel there's a dichotomy that I feel I'm here looking in this direction for healing, and yet that's not what it's about. You know, that thing where it's not. I don't know, maybe I'm being too hard on myself or too hard on the whole thing, but do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, I know what you're saying. And when you said maybe I'm looking for healing, I mean, I think that's, for me, that's where it gets tricky, because when my sight is focused on a point of outcome, an experience of outcome where I won't have symptoms, or where I'll be free of symptoms, then it's like the places between here and there don't register. Like I'm going, gosh, Francis, I hardly know you, but I actually feel like I witnessed a time when there was a change in your feet. Did I make that up?
No, no, there wasn't. No.
No, but in a webinar, you participated in a webinar, and you had an experience of a change in symptoms.
If I did.
You forgot about it.
Yeah.
Because I was there too.
Oh, good.
What?
So glad I have a witness other than my crazy old mind.
Maybe that's how far, I mean, this particular symptom that I'm, the more modalities I go to, and the more things I try out, and it's the permanent, it's my occupation now. The more I do that, I find there's a definite worsening of the symptoms. And I know I'm doing this. I know I'm constantly trying to fix It's this thing of trying of letting it happen and doing nothing or whatever. But it's just, yeah.
I mean, it's for me. It's the it's a kind of paradox that I can want something to change and I can be focused on it, and it's very much in the foreground. So, especially where it's to do with, for me, especially where it's to do with pain, there's other things, other symptoms I have which I can leave as they are, and I can be much more accepting of them. But when pain in somehow is much more, it brings itself into the foreground of my awareness very easily.
Yeah.
And
very, very.
In that place, I know that because it's in the foreground, it's my experience. You know, so I experience this. So, I mean, it's interesting when you talk about 24/7, because I would describe my tinnitus, for instance. I would describe my tinnitus as 24/7, and it's very loud, but my awareness of it comes and goes in, you know, very, very fluidly. So there are times when I don't notice it at all, but if I was to put my attention on to it, you know, a bit like you have the dishwasher going or something, and you know, if you were sat right next to it, you would think it's very loud, but when you're focused on something else, you don't really hear it. So for me, that focus, like Ellen's talking about, the outcome focus can keep me very locked into it. And what I've experienced with love or with has been more of a being present with the symptom, or being present with the circumstance exactly as it is. So, and that somehow that creates a space in my awareness. So it brings a space in my that I can be present without trying to run away, without trying to change anything, without trying to get anything to be different at all, but just be present with it, with whatever the pain is, exactly as it is. And I don't know why or how, but somehow the feeling of love becomes the space of awareness within which everything is happening, or within which my experience is going on. And that paradoxically changes the symptom without me, you know, and then it can become a trap to want to go, okay, I've got to love myself, or I've got to love the symptom, or
exactly.
And that kind of bounces back into the outcome problem.
Yes, I'm definitely not saying that we have to love symptoms. And Francis, I feel like what you shared with us is evidence. Like you shared the focus on modalities, you said, has increased your symptoms. So I just want to pause for a second and take this idea of foreground, background, like to an experience for all of us, because Mick, when you first shared it with me, it was so powerful. So like if we just look at that beautiful piece of art behind Mick that his wife Jill did, like if we put that in the foreground, it's behind Mick, but if we put that in the foreground, we still see Mick, but the flowers on the windowsill have a greater sensory experience. Right? Can we all see that?
Mm-hmm.
But if we shift our attention back to Mick being on the foreground, we can still see the flowers in the background. They're still present, but they don't have a they don't have as strong of an image. And I don't know, right now I'm thinking about when I was learning to drive, and I so wanted to focus on the road in front of the car. I can't believe I can remember this, because it's been like decades, right? So I wanted to focus on the road right in front of the car, but I was always told to look at the road, like down the road. When I look down the road, but not to the end of where I'm going, but when I just have a bigger picture of the road, then I can still see everything I can still see everything between here and there. But when I'm looking down at my symptoms, down at the road, I can't see anything beyond. And one more thing, and then I'll let you respond, Francis. When I think about the neurophysiology of the brain, there's a sensory map in the brain. And when we have any symptom, and when we have pain, that area in the brain becomes larger. It literally takes up more space. And as it takes up more space, the space around it gets something called smudged. It gets smudged. It's really a technical word. And blurred. And it's like same thing would happen if I were to put a cast on my arm. If I had a broken wrist and I were to put a cast on my arm, within 2 weeks, that place in the sensory map would just shrink down so much. So, but in the case of symptoms, it just gets so big. And so, I don't know what else. There's a physiological response, but if we see that, then maybe there's something else about seeing the whole being, the sensory map of the whole being, I want to point us to. Or the sensory map inside that points us to what's next, instead of having to search for everything. So, okay, enough of my wild running mouth. Francis,
yeah, I mean, in the bigger picture, in the big diagnosis, I'm finding I'm much clearer on that, and this, because obviously there's things coming from everywhere in this situation, and I find I'm very clear on that. Okay, I'll do this, I won't do that, because ultimately, what I suppose what I'm saying is I'm not in charge at some level.
Mm.
I really do think that, but this other fixation, it's as if I feel as if this was, I'm thinking this out now, that this was done to me because it's a poison. It was a chemical that was put into my body that damaged my nerves. And I think it's as if I have I don't know, maybe I need to forgive that or something. I think that's part of it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But,
well, I hear you, and I so appreciate your honesty with yourself about the judgments that you have about the chemicals that went in your body. So what I know about chemicals that go on our body is that they can have an impact on symptoms. They can result in symptoms. But everyone that has that chemical does not have the same.
Exactly.
Everyone doesn't have it. Yeah. So,
yeah.
No, and you did it. You made the choice to take that out of what looked best at the time.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that, and I can see that everybody doesn't have that same experience, and it's just, it's
So what does that mean if everyone doesn't have the same experience from taking the same?
Well, I suppose in my case, it brings more guilt and responsibility and all that, you know.
That's one possibility.
That's one. What's another possibility?
Another possibility. I could look at what this might be giving me ultimately, you know, in this search, if nothing else. That's, you know, I probably wouldn't be going in this direction if I hadn't. So, yeah, there's something there. Anyway, look, it'll carry on the way it'll carry on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Frances. Now, just like, let's just like pause and just experience, like, I don't know, Frances, like something shifted in me when you said that. Like I feel, it's almost like I can feel some formless energy of truth kind of waving through. That's touching.
Yeah, funnily enough, I think I have a sense of that truth lately, which is beyond the intellectualizing and beyond the looking and beyond all of that, that there is something settling. Yeah.
Beautiful. You'll have to keep us posted with
Okay.
So we have Lainey has raised her hand. Okay, I'm not in gallery view at the moment, so can you see Lainey?
Can you? Yeah, she just unmuted herself.
Oh, cool.
I did. Hi. Happy to be here. I just thought I would share a little bit about my experience because I was resonating so much with just all that was being discussed. And my diagnosis came in 2013. So I've had a bit of a journey with kind of what Frances was talking about with all the different practitioners and modalities. My diagnosis was ulcerative colitis, and along that journey, I experienced quite a bit of inflammation and tension and tightness. And so Ellen actually introduced me to the 3 principles probably this time last year, somewhere around there. And it resonated a lot with other, I guess, just teachings that I had been playing with. And one of the things that I came across recently was a quote from 2015 that I had jotted down that has been really helpful for me. Am I focused on the vitality that I do want or the discomfort that I don't want? Mm-hmm. And that, to me, kind of embodies a lot of what you're talking about with the loving presence, because for so long, for years, probably up until about 6 months ago, I was very heavily involved in physical therapies and massage therapies and lots of different treatments and supplements. And when I stopped focusing on trying to fix it, yes, the tension or tightness or stiffness can be there. And I'm not so aware of it when I'm not looking. Is it there? Is it better? Am I in pain? Am I okay? Do I need to fix it? Should I get to another doctor? Is it going to get worse? Right? When I'm out of that, when I'm out of my thinking mind and I'm just in presence, I have some awareness of it, but it's like you were saying, foreground, background. It's like a quiet, it's not an inflamed, and really the ulcerative colitis has more or less kind of taken care of itself. What I'm referring to right now is mostly just some tightness, some stiffness that I can notice in my neck and shoulders from an old injury. So this understanding for me is really important. And of course it's a practice, but to me, a very, very powerful one.
As you were speaking, Lani, I was just aware, for me, there's something about the degree to which I don't know if it's let go or if it's have faith, or it's the degree to which I look in the direction of I'm not in charge. And I mean, I think for my general day-to-day life, there's so much habit of thinking I'm in charge, and the stronger almost like the stronger the pull is towards something bigger, something beyond me, something something beyond modalities, beyond the supplements or whatever, something way bigger. The more I trust that, or the more I pay attention to it, somehow the paying attention to it brings that to the foreground, so that can be more the sea that I'm swimming in, rather than swimming in my own personal mind.
Yeah, I would agree with that wholeheartedly. And I think that much of the I referred to has been some resistance to not being in charge in years past.
Which is natural. We're raised to to think that it's good to be in charge, and good to, we need to get better at being in charge, etc., etc.
Yeah, this is my year of surrender. I'm feeling a new level of just letting go, surrendering.
Lainey, thank you for sharing. We haven't really talked so much about your health stuff in recent conversations, and what was subtle, what you said that I want to bring into the foreground, that is so valuable to me, is that the when I remember that there's something greater than me in charge of my health, when I remember that my body's wisdom is always guiding towards health and healing, when I'm in surrender, I have a certain experience. Because prior to the principles, there was this driving to be in surrender, or to be free of the personal mind, ego mind, or to be somewhere, to be in a destination. And every time I think about, I still go there, but when I'm in there, there's something even softer about being in there than when it doesn't mean anything. What I know now is it doesn't mean anything about me and who I am. When I'm in it, when I'm in my symptoms, when I'm in the story, when I'm in the hurricane, the thought storm, it means not. I still can sometimes sense that there's a pinpoint of something else there. And not always. I can't always see it, touch it, grasp it, but there's something that reminds me either that, the other thing that helps is just the transient, I just know it's going to pass. Even, I love when you talked about the constant symptoms, Mick, of tinnitus. I think I can have tinnitus at any moment. You know, I know. I mean, I think that I think I can hear ringing anytime I want. But I don't know. So.
Yeah, I appreciate that reminder, because it's not in this moment, but there are certainly moments where, like what you're talking about, if I am having symptoms, that my personal mind will then want to figure out what I might be doing wrong to create them. Which is hilarious, because then that just once again says I'm trying to, I'm in control.
Yeah, but that's so great that you see that, and that I love that you can be so humorous with it. I mean, to me, that creates, more opportunities.
Yeah, it just makes me think. I'm thinking of you, because I can see you saying, "Isn't that cute?"
Is that what am I saying?
I can see you saying that. Like, isn't that cute that you think that?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to share something, ask something, or any experience they've had of what love has to do with it?
I see some wheels spinning, Monica. Is it Monica? Is that how you pronounce it? You're muted, so I can't hear you.
Oh, okay. Yes. I appreciate all these conversations. And I keep learning. I really don't go on the outcome focus. I mean, it's physical pain. I do the 3 principles, embarrassingly, I've been listening to for a long time. But we were very isolated at that time, so it was a huge learning. So I don't want to even have judgments of myself on that. God, which I could.
Yeah, we all could, right?
How come I didn't, whatever. But it's physical pain. And I think the word love, and there's a book called To Listen is to Love. And in my relationship with my husband, I didn't want to be separated from him. So obviously I do want to be with him. These were things that happened. But it's still a process of quieting. I think love is like quietening down, which is sort of difficult to do, especially in the morning when I wake up in discomfort and things I want to fix right away. That's the tricky part. That's very, I mean, comparatively, even I'm much better than I was physically. I walk better. But there's another problem that I had some surgery, and I think it made a problem for me. So I don't know what, that's a tricky one to get that. And I don't like, I've heard people say, what problem you had, don't pay too much attention to it. I think that's a Byron Katie quote, because she suffered so many physical things. I mean, the principles, and I listen to anyone who will kind of share the best route to go. But listening to Lani was quite interesting, but I am overcoming. I even was in to see the neurologist again, who hadn't seen for years. And compared to who I am now, and because I was looking for a problem, and I even had a diagnosis of MS, but they took it away from me. Well, what is it? But I mean, even this morning when I was in discomfort, I mean, I've been a painter, I've worked in the healthcare, so I sort of do creativity and well-being. But I've started my art classes again, and people are coming next week, because that's for me to nourish the art in me, because I don't paint a lot anymore. But just to be in that environment with people who want to draw, which quiets their mind. That's what happened to me. But today I'm thinking, what do you think you're doing? You're going to do these classes and look at you. Look at how, are you going to be able to? But I know the jump, and I'm teaching with seniors to, it keeps me not getting depressed by sort of not doing what I enjoy doing. So there's a double, but I just have to get over this sort of physical condition that's difficult in the morning. And I don't know, but I just got to get over my embarrassment of myself, perhaps.
Well, maybe not even get over it. Just see where it's coming from. Let's just see where it's innocently coming from. There's nothing to get over.
Yeah, the effortless pain relief, I learned from that too, because she said it's sort of about not getting into your thinking. Feel what your body's feeling. And lately, when I've been in pain, I've been starting to breathe. And I go, and then I notice it sort of passes. So that I've got over the pain, but it's another physical muscle tension in my body that's making things a bit difficult. Mm-hmm. So loving myself, perhaps, bottom line, no matter what the condition I'm in, and I can still do my classes because I do enjoy, I mean, I share the principles in a way when we do drawing, but it's very subtle. People just reduce their stress and they've had fun and they're, so that's very good for me to see kind of still sharing, because as I share, I learn. But even every morning after sleep, I mean, some days during the day, I really think I know what I'm doing. I might get bossing my husband around. Who knows where it might be there. The next day, I go, ooh, that wasn't such a good thing. So I guess every day after sleep, there's a little bit of learning of whatever I do, of whatever. I can't even get a word for it. But I really like the thing about driving in the bigger picture. Like I like those visual things that, you give that to me. Well, I could give it to my students. I mean, it's just like a keep flowing of all these sort of bingo little expressions that kind of, keep us like we're okay, something like that. Oh, thanks. So I really appreciate being here. Thank you. Ciao.
But I'm loving the force, if you like, that is leading you back to teaching or sharing your art. For me, that I know that sometimes those kind of forces can come out of left field. If you like, for me, I've just recently got into photography, and which was something that I'd kind of dropped for many years. At least 15 years, I haven't done any photography really. I have done little dabbles in it, but it was always something that was important to me. And just now, just since Christmas, I'm finding that I'm reawakening that, and that is, it's coming from that place that I hear in you teaching your classes of, an unexpected joy, if you like. And I think it's, I personally, I really like following those joys to see what's going to happen. What's going to happen? Who knows?
Yeah, it keeps the energy fresh.
Yeah, exactly.
There are difficulties. It gives some pleasure that that you can. I mean, I taught the classes before, enjoyed them, and for some reason I gave up. But I'm not. But then that's okay. I decided I'm going back in, and to give myself enjoyment.
Yeah.
Even just some difficulties,
Yeah.
and then I share with people. Who knows what I'll keep learning? So it gives. I got to keep it. So it gives me, so I don't get sidetracked by situations. I know there's something to look forward to.
Mm.
Yeah. Thanks.
Following the
I'll
energy.
get my
Yeah.
audio. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
So we're at the top of the hour, but I'm feeling compelled to stay on if there's anyone, because I know there's always people who like to wait till the end to share or not. So Mick, you up for staying on? And
I'm up for
anyone that,
yeah.
and anyone that wants to, check off, that's fine. Thank you for coming. Monica, where do you live?
Vancouver, BC.
Are you, I don't know why I want to know. Have you been written about in Linda's books? Are you a Monica that's been written about in the early days of Sid?
I don't think so. I was very, 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 very low profile. It was like true. I mean, I listened to Sid. I had a crisis. I started painting. So that I was sort of this wordless sort of painter learning through. But I've done Facebook Lives. I'm okay, you're okay. And recently I got on again and I talked about Sid's book, the first book, how he talked about not getting into judging and analyzing. And then we'd be there. So I said, well, yeah, that's what I'm actually doing in my classes. So, I'm like the oak tree, long learning, but always sort of staying in there.
Were you in Sid's living room?
I was there once, but I was just, I had a small baby at the time. I didn't get that huge, No, but I sat every Saturday, went to the little area and sat and listened. And all I know is when I left, I felt better.
I think that Linda writes about you in her book.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know about that.
I think so.
I also taught, I want to share that I taught, my huge insight was having a job working in addiction. And I had to facilitate. I mean, I was a nurse and I was also the artist, you see, and that was my focus. And I had to facilitate. God, I don't even talk. Because the clients were at a level of wanting to learn, it was phenomenal. We did drawing, but I played Sid's tape. I played his videos.
Yeah.
But I was 65 and I was in pain, so I did quit. But they taught me that I could facilitate. It was a fluke. But that's, I think, where I got my biggest learning. Because I went in, I thought, God, I got a job here. Geez, I could share the principles maybe. So, and I have a little booklet of all these things that people said. So, that's been a big part. And so that's experience that gave me courage to speak. So I get these little steps and steps and steps. And then I did a Facebook Live. So I guess it's good because I'm on a journey. I think even my difficulties forced me to quiet down. I try to take it as an okay, thing. Okay, I'll be quiet.
No, thank you. I just, my curiosity, I couldn't end without having that question answered. So.
Oh, okay. Who knows?
Yeah. Anyone else? No pressure, just an invitation. Francis, anything new with you? Okay. Yeah, and as we wrap up and as others see if there's anything else that they want to share, just invite you to again check in with your body, check in with your symptoms, just notice. Just notice. Notice what love has to do with pain and illness. Notice what love has to do with life
And circumstance.
and circumstance. Thank you. I love remembering the constant.
Beyond the coming and going. You know, just as you said, Constant, I was just very, very aware that my symptoms come and go. They come and go. And so do my thoughts. So do my...
Thank goodness.
Thank goodness. So do my problems. And there are certainly some things that don't come and go. Yeah. Thank you. So,
Yeah.
shall
We're going to repeat this in a couple weeks just because we love doing this and we want to see what's fresh in a couple weeks. So feel free to join or share with others. And thank you for giving us a space to do what we love to do.
Okay, I'm just unmuting everyone so you can say hi and bye. And
Bye.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
For sharing and joining us.
Bye for now.